All right, welcome back to Pad Crypto. My name is Chase. Today we are going to be looking at Bitcoin on the weekly picture and focusing on when can we expect, or what are the signs we can look for ending a downtrend. We're obviously in a downtrend since about a year ago, right? Last November. So here's your primary trend is what you want to be focusing on first, right? Where are we going? That should be an obvious down, right? Since the past 12 months or so. The primary trend is down. Now, what are secondary trends are basically your counter to your primary. So that's your bounces. This guy. You could even argue the sideways trend here. But more or less, they're the pauses between the primary downtrend. And so far, we are still in that trend and no until proven otherwise. So what are the signs we can look for to possibly end this the pain and get back to happier times? Well, let's look at that. So first and foremost, the bigger picture is the 200 week, right? And that is way up around 25, 26K. So hopefully we don't have to wait that long to know. And I would agree with you that that is a ways up there. And for the facts of the matter, a good 55% plus from current said price. Okay, so we need to have a little bit of a sign before that. So what is that? Well, you have all your moving averages. Your 8-week EMA is in the red here. That is currently, well, if you want to get a good price, you have them all at the top here, if you can see that. So currently 17,774. That's our first and foremost level that we need to close above. But you could see we've tried a couple times, right? So maybe that's not the best sign. Although that is obviously going to happen when we do start an uptrend. But what are the signs for more concrete than that, overtaking that? Because obviously the previous two times we've done that, here and here, we have failed in an epic way. So what about the next version? Well, the 21 week tends to be a bigger line in the sand. That is the yellow line, and that is currently just north of 20K at 20,683. But you could see way back in this area, we've also done that. So maybe that's a little bit of a fake out too. Although the 21 week, closing above that would be a much bigger help than the 8 week. Those are two steps, but we need the bigger steps. So we remember the primary trend, right? We need to look at that. And sometimes focusing on a more simple chart can help you. So if it looks kind of busy, right, remove some of your indicators. You can just do that by hitting the little eyeballs there, right? And then we can get rid of that and the much cleaner chart, right? And then if you want to clean it up any more than that, put on a line chart that focuses on just the closes for whatever session you're looking at. So we're looking at the weekly chart now. These are just weekly closes only. So it eliminates the open, the high, the low, and the close as candles show, right? Open, high, low, and close are shown per each candle. On the line chart, you just have the closes, right? So that if you want to look at a trend to break, right, draw it from there. And yeah, you could argue there, but I would argue that our first signs of breaking this downtrend would be when we break this line. It doesn't mean that we have to, right? Because we've done that before right here. But I would argue that was kind of a fake out, a market fake out, the first kind of bounce to kind of fake out the market, right? Maybe you can argue dead cat. I would argue like kind of leg 2 of this kind of wave pattern that we're looking at. So that is what I'm looking for, is a break of that line. So let's get it back up there. And it's nothing concrete, right? But this is at least the first major sign that we could hope to potentially break this. And as you can see on a little bit of a line here, it's kind of in line with the new year, 2023. So we'll see how this progresses. We could also just as easily, hit it and go down. We could fall down this week. No guarantees, but that's at least a first major sign. We have 2 touch points, really 3. The first fake out, right? Kind of omitting. You also always want to include the most data possible. But you could, I could certainly see a point where you could argue against this, but just trying to help you out, looking for potential early signs, right? If you want to be the most concrete, it's going to be the 200 week. Beyond that, right, it's going to be, we'll get back to the Gaussian channel in a moment here, but looking at the 200 week, 26K, right? Then you're looking at, 20,600, right? These are declining week over week for your moving averages. The 8-week, right? Those are all good things, all good baby steps to overcome. But really a good first sign is to break a primary trend. And the primary trend is still intact at this line, this arrow line here. So, depending on when we hit it, we could hit it, this week, and we'd have to go up to 19K. If it's next week, it's a little bit less and less and less, right? And maybe we don't end up hitting it until, February, March, right? I'm not saying we're going to hit this in January 1. I'm just saying this would be at least a sign to reevaluate, looking at maybe the primary trend is breaking. Maybe we're going sideways again. Maybe it means nothing at all, right? Hindsight's always easy to tell when the peak is in, when the trends are shifting. It's when you're in that, in that moment where it's very difficult for anyone. 50-year traders, right, have difficulty finding the moment of switch, right? A lot of people can look back and see, well, obviously that was the top, right? So just throwing this out there, right? We're in a very tight range right now. Looking at the past several weeks, right? I mean, probably the least volatile Bitcoin has been in quite some time. So we're going to see how this plays out. Looking at the weekly Bollinger Bands, we're at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. So by definition, prices are low, but it doesn't mean they can't go lower, right? We've been at the bottom of a Bollinger Band as well back here. And, we can certainly have a more capitulation event. And I think the majority of people in crypto or even not in crypto right now would argue that we do have some more downside, and it's hard to argue at that point, right? But we're not here to debate that. We're here to debate when a possible sign of this primary downtrend that we've been in for 12 plus months now could potentially end. So in an effort to keep this video as short as possible for the 4 of you continuing to watch, I will end it and wrap it up here. Let's look at briefly the weekly Gaussian channel and note that we are not only still red, but we are bigly red and bigly under here. Now, long term, these are great buying opportunities anywhere, right? Even if you would have bought at 30K, right? For a decade out, you're still good, but you wouldn't have bought on the Gaussian channel. Usually looking at the 5 days where we keep it. So if those of you have watched me for, the couple years I've been on here now, the 5-day Gaussian channel is where the secrets are. Anytime you buy anywhere under the Gaussian channel, for the next peak cycle, for the next peak, those prices will always have been in mucho profito. That's not even close to those numbers, those words. But, dollar cost averaging anytime you're under a 5-day Gaussian channel for any asset tends to pay off going forward. So noting where we are, could we be down here for a considerable amount longer? Of course. But buying dollar cost averaging, the farther you drop, right, the bigger the buys are for the longer picture, right? Probably not going to pay out dividends for, the foreseeable hours and days ahead, but, years ahead, decades ahead, of course, right? These are probably going to be good prices, assuming you're in the boat that thinks, Bitcoin's not going to zero. So I'll wrap up the wrapping up there, and I'll see you on the next video. Chase out.